Hey, how's it going? Today I am interviewing Sarah, and we are talking all things fundraising for Run Disney races.
This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for injury-prone Run Disney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong without feeling broken or held together with KT tape as they cross the finish line.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, I gave you a brief introduction. I gave our listeners a brief introduction, but can you tell us about you, yourself, what you do, how you got started with running, with Run Disney and the fundraising, all the good stuff?
All the good stuff. So yes, I have been running since 2017, January to be specific. I decided like it's time to get healthy. It's time to lose some weight, like everybody else. Like I'm always one of those stories. And I love Disney. Like I lived in Minnesota, so it was January, it was freezing, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to run the Disney Princess Half Marathon. Like I want to do that next year. And so that was the goal I made. And so I went to my best friend Callie and I was like, hey, so I want to run the Princess Half Marathon in Florida, February 2018. Will you join me? And she immediately said yes. And I was like, yes, all right, good, we're on. So then I started like, joining the Facebook groups and like kind of learning. It hadn't gone on registration yet, but then I was already hearing like horror stories about the registration process. And I was like, oh, I don't want to go through this. This like makes me very nervous because this is just the one thing I really want to do. So I went on like Run Disney's website and I found out that Children's Miracle Network was a charity, and at the time they were like the headline sponsoring charity for that race weekend. And so I reached out and I secured two Princess Half Marathon bibs. So Kelly and I both ran it and fundraised that year together. And yeah, so started the first race, Princess 2018. And then it snowballed from there. And as you can see from my back wall, but it's yeah, I've done so many races from then until now. I honestly, I don't even keep track. I just do it. It's kind of like riding a bike at this point. And so with that, I also just really did love the charity aspect of it. Just kind of reaching out, even just researching and seeing what they're about and the people that, benefit from them or that, you know, utilize their services. It's the people that need these, organizations and these charities. It just melts my heart. And just to be a small part of making a difference goes a long way. So there's like that rewarding factor of like, yes, I can do the half marathon, I can do these challenges, but I can also spread awareness at the same time. So in 2020, I met Amanda from Dragon Master Initiative and started running for Dragon Master over these last 4 or 5 years. Also did some side work and some projects for them. And most recently, I am running for the National MS Society because personally, it affects my cousin who is just dear to my heart, Kelly. She was diagnosed in 2017. No, she was diagnosed in 2022 with MS.
Wow.
So this year, it was just sharing her story and getting it out there.
That's great. Being able to support her,
Yeah,
support your cousin, and do Run Disney. That's a great combination. Be able to meld
exactly.
both of those.
Hmm.
So that's great. So you have done the fundraising side as a participant for years and with multiple organizations. Plus, you mentioned you did some side projects. So you've been able to see it from multiple angles, which is awesome. So, I get a bunch of questions all the time, like, how do organizations get the race bibs or when do they get them? Do you know any of that information?
What I do know is that organizations can reach out to Run Disney and, ask about becoming a charity partner for the race weekends. Beyond that, I don't know that process. I do know that, the charities do let Run Disney know that they're interested in the amount of bibs that they want. And Run Disney is a year ahead. So what we're seeing now, they worked on last winter. So um, so you can kind of just anticipate which charities will be around for the next season, which typically the season starts wine and dine weekends or springtime surprise. Now with Disneyland in there, but yeah, I think if you're an organization or a charity and you're just interested, even just, getting that information, I would directly go to Run Disney and ask what the process is and, where do we start and see what happens.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, definitely like Run Disney is just such a big undertaking for anybody who's involved with it on the back end. Like I can only imagine like event planning and organizing all of the different aspects that need to go into it, when registration is, when the race is, plus adding in these charities that everybody's doing everything a year, maybe even 2 years in advance. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know if you're a Taylor Swift fan, but if for anybody who's ever watched any of her documentaries, she talks about that her tours are done and signed and ready 2 years in advance, 24 months. So she's already into 2026, at the time of recording
Hmm.
this, we're at the end of 2024. She may even be at 2027. So I imagine that all of these organizations have a similar aspect where it's 12 months, 18 months, 24 months in advance. So it sounds like the organizations probably have their race bibs before like general public registration. Is that a good assumption?
That is a good assumption. I think maybe there's a little kinks or contracts or, all that fun, red tape stuff that happens in the beginning. But I would say, they're going to know in the next few weeks, because people want to know if they should commit to the charity. We don't know. Does our charity have a bib? Because I think next week, Halloween goes on general registration. And
Yes.
they're like, you know what, I really want to run for this charity. Like, are you going to have bibs? And so that's all in the works there. So, you don't want to panic buy because you still want to support your charity. But at the same time, if your charity doesn't know, it's, I think just like the first weekend or the first couple registrations, there's a little bit of kinks there to be worked out. But, just have faith and little pixie dust and you'll get
Faith,
your
trust,
bib.
and
And
pixie dust,
yeah,
right?
that's all it is. Luckily, most of these charities are just been around for so long and are very knowledgeable of the process. So I feel like if you went to them and said, "I'm really nervous, like I want to make sure you get one because I really want to fundraise for you," I feel the charities will be very honest with you and letting you know, yep, we're working on it. Just trust us, we're getting there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have seen even now this is unofficial because I haven't done it myself, but in the Facebook groups, people talk about doing racing for charity bibs all the time. And I have even seen that some people can email the charity ahead of time asking if they are getting a race bib, and possibly even get on some kind of wait list to be alerted.
Mhm.
This is hearsay because it's don't trust everything you read on the internet,
Right.
but that might be a possibility too. So if somebody is looking to find if a charity is working with Run Disney and has a bib, where are some places that a runner could go to just see if the charity that they have in mind is participating?
Yeah. So the first big resource is runDisney.com. You're always going to get all your information right there. I believe each race weekend has its own section, and there's in the drop down, like it might be runner info or event info, participating charities, or at the very bottom menu bar, I know that there is a charities link there too. So that's one place to always just go and look, especially when we're in the current race season. The next one is this is a great tool. I admit I use it, especially when I was doing projects for, um, Dragon Master Initiative. Is there's a website called Team Run Diz, They are an excellent resource, not just on charities, but they have maps, they have historical medals and race themes. Like it's a wonderful website. Love them. I don't even know who they are that run it, but it's great. But they have this amazing database that lays out each Run Disney race weekend with each charity that's going to be a part of that weekend. And it's updated hourly, so you can see which bib is available for each charity. It's an amazing
Hourly.
resource hourly. It is an amazing resource. I'm shouting them out, and they are just awesome, because when I would get messages, people asking like, "Do you have bibs?" I'm like, "No, sorry, we have a wait list. Do you know who has bibs?" I'm like, "Actually, go to this website. Here you go." And
Wow.
so they are an awesome resource to just check, to go see what you're looking for. And um, if you need multiple bibs, I'm sure they have contacts or something there to help you navigate. Another great resource is if you're on Facebook, the Facebook groups and the marketplace, a lot of charities will post that they have bibs available, and to just message them and let them know you're interested. It's great. It's also like just creating that network and getting to know the Run Disney community, especially in the charity world of it.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
definitely have seen them on the different, specifically like the marketplace groups where you're allowed to
mhm,
share links and things like that. So I've definitely seen that there.
yeah, and if you have a contact at the charity, or your friend knows somebody who knows somebody, directly reach out to them. They want to hear from you. They want people that are going to be passionate about their cause and want to be active and involved, with them and be a part of their running team at Run Disney. So, um, lots of great ways to find out which charities have bibs.
That's great information. And as you're talking, I'm actually on Run Disney's website just to see where I can find some information about charities. If you click the little hamburger up top, those three lines, there's a whole separate tab called
Oh,
charities and travel providers. It's not under the events. I went to under
okay.
events. It's its own tab, charities,
So it's the
and
generic
then
Run Disney site.
yep, and then
Okay.
you click on that. So you click on charities and travel providers, and there's a drop down where you can choose if it's marathon weekend, princess weekend, springtime surprise, wine and dine, Disneyland half, Disneyland Halloween. Yep, and it has a full list. Oh my gosh. So for Disneyland Halloween half marathon weekend, just because that's the one that's top of mind right now, we have, oh, it looks like 20 or 30
Oh yeah.
participating charities. On the Run Disney site, it's its own drop down charities and travel provider. So
Okay.
that makes it a little easier. Plus the Team Run Diz that you just mentioned
Yep.
and these Facebook groups. So that's great. So runners who want to fundraise or want to run for a charity and fundraise for that charity, there are multiple places to go and look for that. So that is awesome. So, speaking of the fundraising aspect, because obviously
Yeah.
it's a charity, we're fundraising to support this charity group and what they do. How does fundraising work?
So really, every charity is different. Just to even sign up with them, some may ask you to apply to run for their charity because they know that they only have X amount of bibs and they have this many people that want to run. Um, some just give you the link to the fundraising platform and say, go here, register to be a fundraiser, and sign up for the distance that you want. Uh, if you decide to sign up with a charity, note that you're signing up for fundraising at that time. You're not actually on Run Disney's websites registering for your bib. Um, the charity has secured that bib for you because they know how many half marathon bibs they have. So if you are signing up to fundraise and run the half marathon, the Run Disney bib is held for you. So that's a big thing to remember. So what you're going to want to do is the charity is going to outline for you exactly what your fundraising requirement is, what your fundraising goal is. So if you're running a half marathon and the goal is $1,000 and it's due by January 1st, I'm just throwing out dates.
Yeah.
You are well aware of that when you're signing up. So you have so much time to get your fundraising in, get it completed, and then each charity, when they decide to give you your Run Disney link to go directly to the website of RunDisney and register for that bib. That's up to their discretion when they want to give it. Some people or some charities do want, half of your fundraising met, or they want about 100% met before they'll give you that link. So this is something to keep in mind. And I believe every charity does outline that in their terms and conditions when you're signing up. So it's just something to be aware of. There's also some charities do have a registration fee because they do pay for their fundraising platforms to have all these people on their fundraising. So, each charity is different on how much they want to charge for a registration fee. Some charities use that registration fee towards your goal. So if the registration fee is $100, it'll be applied to your $1,000 goal. So now you have $900 left to fundraise. Again, it's just do your research when you're committing to charity and to the fundraising aspect of it. And again, like the goals just vary charity to charity. My biggest advice is if you want to run for a charity, make sure it's the charity you want to run for. And then look at the fundraising goal and decide, can you commit to raising that much money for this charity? If you can't, are you able to donate that amount on yourself? Every charity relies on their runners to make their goals with fundraising because they need to fund their mission. And that's like the heart and soul of running for a charity is accomplishing your fundraising goal and then crossing that finish line.
Yeah. It's a good point to point out that they are, if you're running with a charity, you are agreeing to do this fundraising. Mm-hmm. And that really should be part of the forefront of somebody's mind because and that's why you should sign up for one that you agree with their stance, what they're doing and everything. Like you just shared the information about your cousin. So you feel pulled and called to support this organization that helps and raises money for people with MS. I think that helps make it more real. Mm-hmm. And somebody, definitely puts in more of that effort, because what happens if they decide not to raise that money and not put in that money themselves? Like, do they still get, I assume they don't still get to run for that organization.
So every organization decides, I didn't make my fundraising goal. That organization can look at me and say, all right, do you have a plan to fulfill the fundraising commitment? And if I'm like, I can do a payment plan. And if they want to work with me, maybe they will. I don't know. So it's really up to their discretion. If you don't make that 100% goal, they don't have to give you your bid link.
Okay.
And that's the biggest thing. So, I would definitely, if you're struggling and, finances and you're like, oh, I can't just donate $1,000 this month. Definitely communicate with them and talk to them, especially if you want to do the race, because, it's always great communicating. It goes a long way.
It goes a long way. It goes a long way. Yes.
I have some horror stories I could share, but I'm not going to. I'm just saying, just talk to me. Just talk to them. They're not scary. I promise you.
I think that goes with everybody in life. Like even if it's your sister, your mom, your brother, your husband, your wife, whoever it is, if there's an issue, just, I just listened to a podcast this morning when I was on my walk with my dog Levi, and they said, oh God, I'm going to butcher this, but it has something to do with some theme of some series of movies. They always bring this small little bug, like a small little bug gets on the spacecraft or something like that, and nobody does anything about it because it's just a tiny little bug. And then 30 minutes into the movie, this bug has taken over the whole spaceship, and everybody's like, oh, can't believe I didn't do anything about that. And it's like, take care of the bug when it's the size of a pea. Same thing with communication, right? With everything. Oh, right. Yes, communication is key.
Yeah. And, another thing I can mention, and I've been seeing this quite a bit across a lot of the charities with Run Disney, especially with, just my own experience with Children's Miracle Network, Dragon Master, and the National MS Society, is sometimes you have to put a credit card guarantee in there stating, like, you're agreeing that if I don't make this deadline by January 1st, my card could or will be charged for the remaining balance. Um,
Yeah.
so it's, if you're scared of a potential charge that you aren't prepared for at that time, like the bug, just go talk to them a lot sooner than you know day of.
Yeah. But that is, good on the charity's part, because
Hmm.
that can light a fire under somebody, like, "Ooh, I don't want my card to get charged, so
Right.
let me go fundraise and raise this money so that I don't get charged."
Exactly.
So, with your history of doing so many different, like working with so many different charities as a runner, do you have any tips on best practices on how to fundraise?
So the biggest thing I can really stress is, when you agree to fundraise and you sign up, you have a personal fundraising site website with that charity. Always go in there and share your story. Why are you running for this charity? Post pictures of yourself, visuals. Um, who's your inspiration? Or are you a cancer survivor? Um, Anything. Just, talk from the heart and ask people, like, please support me while I take on these miles and while I do this for cancer research, because I'm a cancer survivor, or for my cousin Kelly, because my cousin Kelly, her whole family knows about her, and she wanted her story shared. She can't go run the half marathon, but she was like, absolutely, please share my story, Sarah, because I feel very lonely. And that resonates with so many people. So, biggest tip is, go get your fundraising page done ASAP, because once that's ready, it's so easy to just talk to somebody and say, "Hey, I'm doing the Run Disney race for Doug Flutie, and I would love for you to go support my cause. Here's a link to my website. Here's my QR code. Whatever. Go read it and see if it inspires you." It goes a long way. That's my biggest piece of advice, is how to get yourself started with fundraising.
Yeah, so definitely that connection piece. The let somebody, it sounds like, let somebody know, and you can do that by updating that page ASAP. And then when you're talking to somebody and asking for them to support you, sharing that connection, building that rapport, that connection really resonates with
Mhm.
other people. I mean, especially these big charities, they're, it's probably 6 degrees of freedom or even less, that somebody knows somebody who is dealing with that or has dealt with that in the past.
Right.
And and so they can envision, they can empathize, they can sympathize with everything that Kelly is going through, or somebody's brother Joe, or whoever it is. So really building that connection and starting with that fundraiser page first, because you see it first and foremost right there.
Hmm. And it's always a conversation piece. Like, you're talking to some stranger, and just somehow it comes up in conversation. You'd be surprised how many donations I've gotten at my pool here at my condo, just by talking about Run Disney and running for a charity. And having that website done, they don't have to, like, ask you 1,000 questions or try and remember, what did she say? And she's like, oh yeah, she's running for her cousin. I want to support her, and she's a sweet person, and she took the time to give me all this information. So it's your biggest tool and your biggest asset to have that done.
Absolutely. That's great. I see runners, and you may not be able to speak on this, so let that's okay, but I see runners all the time, like, selling items for fundraising. Does Is that something that most people do, or does it seem like most runners, you know build that connection piece and talk to the people at the pool, at the condo, or what are your thoughts on that?
I I fully support selling items for fundraising. It's a great way, one, to declutter your own house, because I love
Yes.
decluttering, um, and it's also a good way to just spread awareness. Somebody may not have ever heard of Children's Miracle Network or something like that, and then be like, "Hey, I am selling my old runDisney costumes and for charity. You know, you can donate to the charity, and I will mail you the costume that you chose." I think it's a great strategy to help you get towards your goal. I utilize it. I will say I'm not a big fan of garage sales. I did one once for a fundraiser, and it was a one and done experience for me. There is not a good ROI on that one. so
No.
but I mean, you got to find what your niche is. Like, what are you really crafty? Can you make the cute, poofy skirts and sell them and utilize your profit to, put towards a cause? I love it. And I love seeing how ways I can help people and still get an incentive. Um,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. And if you're selling the costumes, declutter your house at the same
right.
time.
Exactly.
Killing multiple birds with one stone.
There you go.
Have you seen what are some mistakes that you've seen some runners make when either running for the charity or fundraising for the charity? Some things that you would advise, maybe don't do that. Maybe the garage sale being
Yeah,
one.
that's a totally personal experience. That was just I if you had a really successful garage sale for charity and fundraising, great, good job. I will never do it again. um, so, but I think some big mistakes people make. Well, one is they don't even get their fundraising page ready. That's I know I've already said it, but I'll say it again. Biggest mistake right there. Next big mistake is not taking note of those deadlines. They're very clear. They're communicated to you. Um, you can't just say, "Oh, I didn't know." Well, you signed up. Um, you know, emails come out, Facebook groups, um, I think once a charity is probably realizing like, hey, I haven't heard from this person at all, no response, nothing. I'm gonna call them, and then you don't get a call back. Um, don't ghost charities. It's so rude and so mean. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. So it's okay to be like, change my mind. Um, so take note of your deadlines and communicate with them. That's the biggest mistakes I've seen. Um, and then one is, and I hope I don't sound angry. I don't think I ever sound angry, but don't ask them for a reduced goal. I understand that fundraising is so hard, but asking a charity to take less than what their goal that they set for every runner that's running for them um, is just wrong. That goal is set for a reason. And when you ask to have a reduced goal, you're now affecting everybody who has made their goal, but you're also now affecting their impact on what they can do. So don't do that.
Yeah, there's a time and a place to haggle on prices, and with a charity is not it.
Yeah.
Because not only do you not look good asking for that reduced rate, but the people that will get either assistance or benefit from the research that this group is doing,
Mm-hmm.
now this organization might not be able to do as much research or
Or
help
fund the
as many
project.
people
Mm-hmm.
or, whatever their goal for the next 5 years. Because really, these charities, they're looking 5, 10, 15 years out on what they're doing to support their community, whether it be researching for ways to cure cancer or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, raising money to help somebody who needs mobility aids. As a physical therapist, I saw so many people who needed heavy duty mobility aids. We're talking wheelchairs that move at the touch of a button or through a breathing tube, or things like this, or
Mm-hmm.
renovating somebody's home to accommodate their now new mobility needs. Somebody asking for a reduced fundraising goal is affecting all of those people. So not only does it not look good on the person, but
Mm-hmm.
let's think about all the people that now this is affecting.
Right. It's not just the one person at the charity you're talking to. It's it's a huge community that you're affecting. Um,
Yes.
yeah. So ghosting and asking for a reduced goal just makes me cringe and makes me mad. It's yeah. I
It
get
gives me
that.
the ick.
Yeah, and you don't have a positive um, impression of that person now.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. And so with that, with the fundraising goals, so I'm going to assume that whether you sign up 6 months in advance or 2 months in advance, the majority of the charities or all of the charities, like, it's still the same fundraising goal.
Hmm. And you
Yeah.
should go in assuming that as well.
Yeah.
Um, you shouldn't go in and be like, marathons in 6 weeks. You have a bib, just give it to me. And it's like, no, I don't have to.
Right.
I don't have to do that. And I think, saying, I don't think I can reach a $2,000 goal in 6 weeks, then they probably want to talk to you and see, like, how can you raise awareness? How can you get our name out there? Again, it's communication. And it's just keeping that line open and being honest.
Right. And there's
Hmm.
always next year. If you can't do
Sure.
it this year, there's always next year. If maybe you didn't plan ahead, didn't know that you could run the race weekend,
Right.
well, there's always next year. Run
Hmm.
Disney seems to be consistent with which race weekends or which weekend, give or take,
Yeah.
plus or minus 1 week or so.
And you're going to know your themes. You just won't know the
Yeah.
characters. Well, you will for marathon, but it's going to be wine and dine. It's going to be marathon. It's going to be Disneyland, Princess, Springtime Surprise. Like, you know that those weekends are there and the time frame that they're going to be there.
Exactly. So plan ahead, get in earlier rather than later so that you
Hmm.
can, you know, do full force, full fundraising efforts in time so that you get to participate and support a great cause all at the same time.
Exactly.
That's great. So, we talked about some mistakes. Do you have any advice that you would give other Run Disney runners who want to get involved with running a Run Disney race for a charity? I think you mentioned it a little bit, but I think
Yeah.
pointing it out again.
Yeah. So definitely consider the charity that you are supporting. Do those values, does that mission align with yours? Is that something that you're passionate about? Can you spread that word about that mission and about that charity because you wholeheartedly believe in it? Um, Not only does that just make the fundraising process easier, but it's also a little motivating to train and participate in the race and being like, I am doing this for the people with MS that can't do it. I am running for my nephew who died of brain cancer. It just gives you that fire and that drive, especially when you're supporting a cause that really means something to you. It's just it's so rewarding to not only finish that race, but also I reached out and got 20 different donors to help me reach my fundraising goal. Um, it's just it feels so good. I can't tell you how good that feels. We can talk about the ghosting and all the negative, but the good that's in there is so amazing, and it overshadows all the bad that potentially could happen with, oh, I can't meet my goal, or I don't want to talk to them because I'm scared. Another way of like deciding which charity you want to run for is like having engagement and a supportive organization important to you. So you definitely want to like research charities on social media, see what their presence is like, and engage with them online and their interactions. Because some charities are, they're very busy and they're working hard at their cause. So if you want someone that's gonna, please, I need help with like fundraising weekly or whatever the case may be, or I really want to get to know everybody really well. You want to, kind of make sure that you're finding those extrovert people or those introvert people that, you can connect with, but also connect with the cause as well. And then also just be realistic about the time commitment for donor outreach. Some charities, those bib goals are 4 to 8 times the cost of what the bib is. So imagine that the higher the fundraising goal, the longer it may take to reach that goal and reach out to more people. So just know that there is also a time commitment aspect to it, whether it's sending personal text messages, posting on Facebook, organizing a garage sale. I don't know. There is a time commitment involved. And you want to make sure that you can also do that, plus train, plus work, plus all your other duties. Like there's just a lot, but it's so rewarding. I can't tell you enough how rewarding it is to run for a charity. If you've never done it, do it once.
That's awesome. And you have done it with so many different charities, and so I like that you have the history of like working with this one charity and then this one charity and that charity, because it sounds like they all have missions that align with you. And so you have experience to be able to say, find a charity that resonates with your mission as well, and see what you can do to bring this joy to somebody else and also get that joy back. That's very cool.
It is. It's awesome.
Now, we've done a lot of talking. I ask a lot of questions. I always ask a lot of questions, whether somebody's working with me or we're talking on a podcast. Is there anything that I missed? I'll give a chance to have people learn how to connect with you and donate to your charity should the MS charity call to them. But besides that, is there anything else that you feel would be important for somebody to know about this?
I think something that a lot of people, if they're struggling, or how do I fundraise without just putting a Facebook post out or doing all these things, I thought maybe I can give you some of my favorite, and then I'll also tell you my most successful fundraising tips, and then listeners can steal the ideas. Perfect. Absolutely steal them. Even if you need a visual, I can probably provide one for you. So I have 3 very favorite fundraising tips. One is sponsor a mile. So when you're out on that race course, mile, like I'm going to do the 10K as an example, you have 6 miles and then a finish line. So you can put a post out there and say, hey, family and friends, for $25, would love for you to sponsor a mile at my 10K. And I will take a photo at the mile marker, or I will live stream, or I'll make a TikTok with your name and shout you out. Like there's so many ways you could just sell a mile marker photo, and then that person is literally sponsoring that mile and is with you for the race. So it's really, really cool, and it's just so fun on what you can do with sponsor a mile. My other favorite is Princess 2024. So actually just this last one. My friend Jason agreed that if he made his fundraising goal, he would dress up as Snow White for the Princess 10K and a full-on ball gown. But he had to make his goal. So in record time, people were just funneling in and being like, we want to donate. We want to see you in that ball gown. And it was just so fun. I helped create some visuals for his fundraiser so that we could get them posted online. And he did it. He wore a full snow white ball gown with a red bow, and he left his beard. So he was a beautiful Snow White. So it was just really fun seeing that and seeing that he used his costume as a way to reach his goal. So I love that idea. I'm very type A, so I will never let someone donate to dictate my costume, but it's a great idea.
But he chose the
he did.
costume, so
He
you
did.
could
He
choose
did
the
choose it
costume.
technically. Yeah. I always feel like I would, like, because I am so type A, somebody would be like, nope, I get to decide for you. I feel like all my friends would be like, if I will donate 500 if I can tell you what to wear. And I'll be like, nope.
You can't risk it for 6
Yeah.
miles or 13 miles or 26
Yeah.
miles. Can't risk what
No.
you're
Well,
wearing.
definitely not.
Nothing new on
No,
race day.
we're not, I'm not giving anybody that power over me. And my friends probably are going to be laughing. And they're like, yep, we know she will never do that. And then last but not least, my favorite way to fundraise, or favorite fundraising tip, I should say, is if you work for a company that does company match. By day, I work for a Fortune 100 company, and we have a company match program. So that means for every dollar I donate to a 501(c), they will match up to $15,000. It's a very fast way to reach your goal, especially like if you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to donate 500 myself because I believe in this cause. Now I've, got the company match, so I now have $1,000 towards my goal. So, and if you don't have a company that does company match or has a policy like that, go to your business office. They might have a budget for charitable contributions. It's always, again, it doesn't hurt to ask.
That's a good point. I was going to ask, how does somebody find out that their company has that policy? Is it with like written out in their benefits, or
I've been with this company
on their company
yeah,
website?
I've been with this company for so long, so I don't know if it's in like a new hire benefit packet, but I know like we have an intranet where we can go and put company match or charitable contributions, and it'll pop up in our search. Smaller companies, small business, I would definitely like go to your business office if there isn't anything kind of outlined in your employee handbook, or because you just don't know, and you don't know what budget they have, or if they're like, you know what, we got $100, like let's help you out. So
or even go suggest it to
right.
your company, because my husband and I, we both own our own companies. My husband's is completely separate. He has 15 employees or something. I'm a one-woman show. But companies like the small business or even larger companies, they do get incentives on their taxes for contributing
Right.
charitably.
Yeah, so there is always a tax benefit.
So even if your company
Right.
doesn't, yes, even if your company doesn't currently, you could always suggest it and ask, hey, would you be willing to do this?
Right.
And see where it goes from
never
there.
hurts. And then I think, so my personal most successful fundraising I have, and I don't do it every year because I don't want to exhaust anybody, but is a letter writing campaign. Social media is great. It can reach thousands of people very quickly. But to get people to click on a link and to donate, sometimes they just think, oh, I'm just another person that they reached out to on social. Like there's no personal aspect to it. I have found that like writing a letter and sharing, for example, Kelly's story in my letter and why I'm specifically running this weekend for her, it brings people out, and it's like, wow, they took the time to write me a letter, put a stamp on it, mail it. I didn't get junk mail today, so this is nice. They have an easy way for me to donate. I can either just mail her back a check written out to the charity, or I can scan this QR code and go donate. It's so weird, but old school letter writing is very successful. People like seeing, hey, Allie, how are you? I want to let you know what's new and what's going on in my life. And it's the holiday season. So when you're sending out those Christmas cards, put a little note in there and let them know that, hey, I'm also actively fundraising, and end of the year, contribution you want to do. would be greatly appreciated, and you can help support, and make a difference in this world. So, um, I just have the most success with letter writing. So, and I don't do it every year because, again, you can sometimes exhaust people, but when there's a new story to be shared, it it skyrockets. So, if you've never done it, I would suggest try it once.
Letter writing, that sounds like such a great idea, especially because just like you said, you didn't get, just the mailers today. I know in my mail, I have I will check my mail once a week because all I get are mailers. I don't get a personal letter saying, "Hey
Right,
Allie, how's it going?" And, you know, anything. Whether I mean, maybe I'll get a birthday card at the time of my birthday, but other than
right.
that, I'm not getting regular mail. So it would be refreshing to see, oh, look at that. Sarah sent me a letter.
Yeah, like, what's
Let's see what it
this?
is. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. With fundraising, have you noticed, is there a like a dollar amount request that seems to be more successful than others? If you were to ask, let's say, could you donate just $5? I'm asking because I see on Facebook or Instagram, and it's like, donate the cost of a
Yeah.
latte at Starbucks, which my latte is like
Right.
6.50 now. So but so it's like, okay, well, I can do without a
Mhm.
latte today and donate 6.50 to Sarah. But I wasn't sure if you had noticed any like certain amount where it's like, oh yeah, this one's more successful. I get more
Mhm.
people versus another amount.
So, in full disclosure, so we talked about selling and incentives, to donate. Like, what do you get if you donate? Um, the National MS Society, Finish MS, my fundraising site, they actually have what's called, you can set up incentives for your donors. The dollar amounts that I find very successful is $15, $40, or $100. Um, and it's odd, I know, because sometimes 50 seems too much, and um, and then 30 is like weird, but it's like, oh, I went to the ATM, I got 220s. Here you go. And then when you get to, like, college students that maybe don't have the same income as, others, they're like, oh, $20, like that's kind of a lot. Like that's 1 hour of work for me. Um, so I drop it down to
Right.
15, and it seems that those are like kind of the lucky numbers. And so if you do go visit my fundraising site, you'll see if you donate $15, you can get a decal or a friendship bracelet, which I hand make. And if you
Cool.
donate 40, you can get a shirt that says support squad in like orange and white and has like the orange ribbon and stuff. And then if you donate 100 or 250, whatever, it gets more, like you just get more items, and then it's also, you're creating awareness too. So when we talk incentives, and if you're making things for people when they donate, but the dollar amounts, I strategically went that route because just year over year, that's kind of how I see it. And another kind of like clever way is, I'm running a half marathon. Please donate $13. Or I'm running a full marathon. Please donate
Yeah.
26 to support me. Um, and then you get like kids who are like, any amount is great, and then their friends like, well, here's $5, So I mean, it's speaking to your audience, but then also be kind of clever with it. And if you're turning 52 and you're like, I'm turning 52, consider donating 26 or $52, and for my birthday. So, fun ways you can do it. But I just noticed 15, 40, and 100 seem to just work really well for me.
That's great. Yeah, it's interesting that it's 15, 40, and 100. I'm also thinking, if somebody's running dopey, hey, I'm running 48.6 miles over the course of 4 days. Could you donate
Right.
$48 or something like that to correlate? I think that's fun, especially with the
Hmm.
dopey aspect, because as the name implies,
Right.
it is dopey. And when people hear that you are running 4 days in a row, 48.6 miles, they're like jaw
Right.
open, absolutely floored. And that might be a little
And it's less
little
than
boost
50.
to the
So,
fundraising goal. And it's
yeah,
less
because when
than
you hear 50, you're
50.
like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't know. So,
That's great. Yeah. So
yeah,
Sarah, thank you so much. Where can people find you, maybe social media platforms, and if they feel so called to donate to your next race, where can they do
absolutely.
that?
So, can visit my Instagram. It's a funny name, but it's Sarah being extra and the number two, because the original one was taken. Because everybody always calls me extra. I always kind of overdo things and overplan, and but I love doing it. It's my quirk. So yeah, visit me on Instagram, and there I have links. You can, and even if you don't want to donate, but you just either want advice or just ask me a question, or if you want to go copy my fundraising page, like see like how I set it up and stuff, please go steal it. I want everybody to be successful in their fundraising journeys, and doesn't matter who you're running for. They're all important causes, and they're all doing good work. So absolutely, I welcome it.
That's excellent. And I will link your Instagram in the show notes. So for anybody listening right now, you can go to the show notes. You will find the links in the area that says links that were discussed in this episode. You will find those. You'll just be able to click them and they will take you right to those pages. Well, thank you so much again, Sarah. And I wish you the best of luck with all your
Thank you.
fundraising and all of your Run Disney races because you seem to be running them all.
Yeah.
So that will be a lot of fun. A good Run
Yes,
Disney
and
season.
then we rest next summer.
And
Yep.
then we rest. Yes.
All
Well
right, awesome.
earned.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
Hey, can I ask a quick favor? If you're enjoying this podcast, would you take 20 seconds to leave a rating and review? Leaving a rating and a review helps other runners find this podcast because the platform you're listening to this on will start suggesting it to runners like you. All it takes is 20 seconds. Thank you so much for supporting this podcast. As always, thanks so much for listening. That's all for now. Talk to you soon.